Hi, this is Phil, and I'm here to tell you all about the Capes and Lunatics Patreon. Don't miss out on our comic book creator interviews, including our monthly Chichester chats with comic book legend DG Chichester, superhero movie brackets in our search for the worst comic book movie of all time, and many, many more specials, all completely uncensored. Access starts for $3 a month, full video when you pledge $5 a month. Check out the link in our show notes or go to patreon.com/capesandlunatics. Hope to see you there.
This is Luca Perich, and you're listening to the Capes and Lunatics podcast.
Recording has started. In a world of capes and lunatics, gods and monsters, some threats are too great for one hero to face alone. In those times will rise a team of Avengers. And this is Avengers Declassified. I'm your host, Charlie, the Professor Esser, and with me, as always, is the blue-eyed bomber from the Burger Pits,
Phil Podcast Perich.
Hey, welcome, Philip. Today, we are discussing the Bloodstone Saga.
Yes.
Dun, 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 dun. In which the Helmet Zemo, trying not to make him so much of a Nazi even back then, but still kind of a Nazi. And very much in the MCU, that guy's a total Nazi. Don't fall for the hype.
Mm-hmm.
He is attempting to find the pieces of the Bloodstone, the legendary Bloodstone, once held by Ulysses Bloodstone, until it was shattered and wackiness ensued, as they say in the business. It's very interesting to me because what's most interesting to me is I got these books delivered third class print media mail back in the day, back before the comic book shops were a thing, you see. And I read every one of these, and it amazed me how poor my memory of the story was.
Oh, really?
Yes. I'm like, oh, yeah, oh, wow, I totally misremembered this entire scene. And it's very different, but it's still fun, and it's still enjoyable in its own right. I don't know, do you want to go issue by issue, or do you want to just take it as a whole of a piece?
You can take it as a whole. That's fine.
Yeah, because I mean, really, in this story, we are and this is back when I forgot about backup stories.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're listening to Capes and Lunatics this week, you will hear a lot about backup stories because our Ghost Rider stories. It's all double issues. That's a lot of stories to tell.
But, well, those were reprints, but yeah.
Yeah, but they're like double issues. They're like two stories in one. So like,
they put two
each of these 7 issues you made me read. You made me read 14 issues.
I know.
And this was just 7 issues, but also with the backup stories, which are their own interesting subplot, I suppose. But anyway, getting back to the actual story. So we open up with a heist, as you do, and that is what's interesting is that's the end of the first story, beginning of the new story. We have the Bloodstone heist by Helmet Zemo and his gang of evildoers, where they're taking the bones of the original Ulysses Bloodstone, famous monster hunter, and they're going to use these to find the pieces of the Bloodstone for a nefarious purpose we do not have yet revealed. But of course, evil woman that she is, Diamondback, partner of Captain America at this point. Well, not really a partner, but sort of an associate of Captain America at this point. Is also trying to get a score. Because she sees, they're going to steal something, must be valuable. I'll let them do the heavy lifting, then I'll steal it myself. Or something along those lines. She gets in there. She realizes it's Batroc, Machete. Oh, who's the other guy?
Is it Weapon Master or something?
Yeah,
But
yeah, but it's like it's a wonderful gaggle of low rent supervillains. Your villains for hire, if you will. And they are being they're doing this heist, and when they catch Diamondback, they basically throw her down a big hole. And
yeah.
that is the end of that story. Not really the end, but at least a portion of it. And one could very easily argue that you know it's quite a cliffhanger ending that we will pick up on in the next issue when Diamondback uses her emergency cap communicator.
Mm-hmm.
Which you got to have. You always got to have emergency communicators like that in the superhero industry. If Jimmy Olsen has taught us nothing, it is that you need a way to contact your superhero in any situation in a moment's notice. This isn't like a Star Trek comm badge that is going to get interference from every silicate crystal cave.
Well, she gave him one when he was the captain, and she's like, "I hope he kept I hope he kept a hold of it. Otherwise,
Yeah, but I do have to admire how well it does communicate through
Mm-hmm.
again big deep holes.
Under New York, yeah.
Under New York, yes, yeah, and honestly, if you've ever been in a subway in New York, and that's even the subways aren't even that deep, and they're like you can't get a signal, so that's some good technology, whatever they're using. And it's just nice to see Diamondback again, as always. We do love Diamondback.
Oh yeah.
And Cap comes to find her, of course. And fortunately, there was a major updraft on the hole. So she fell, but she fell gently. That's always helpful when you fall gently.
Oh, yeah.
Once again.
But yeah, I mean, this thing was fun.
Yeah, sorry. Children trying to cook, and I'm trying to do a podcast. It's okay. So yes. Anyway, Philip, you begin.
What? Oh no! I mean, yeah, I like this story. Yeah, Cap has to go through this whole chamber to find her, and I guess it's from like an old Rampaging Hulk. A couple, because I don't know if you ever read that thing. There was always a Hulk story, and then there was another story. That's where all that Ulysses Bloodstone stuff was from, I think. And because like some of Moon Knight's old appearances were from there.
Yeah, and to be fair, I wonder if Ulysses Bloodstone was as much of a jerk as they kind of make him out to be in this.
Well, he's one. He's one of those guys. With that old comic book trope. He was a early man who finds a meteor or something and gets immortality, like many people in comics.
Okay. Yes. So they get out. They realize that that Zemo and his crew searching for the Bloodstones, and we're going to follow them through several adventures. And one of the things I like about this is this is actually one of the really good episodes where they start to humanize the villains.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I will really. This is a good one to point to when Batroc stopped being a henchman and became a goon. And that was one of there was something, I think that was it Harley Quinn who recently did that, or something else, where there was like about the difference between being a goon, being a hired goon, and being a henchman. Like henchmen's actually are into it. Like whatever the boss says, they're very loyal and they're all a part of it.
Yeah.
But like a goon, it's just they're just there for the paycheck, man. And Batroc, originally is actually kind of an evil guy when he first appears. He's like part of the, Vichy government and all that kind of stuff. He's totally down with the Red Skull. And by this point, he's like, "Nah, man, I just work for whoever. You know, you want to pay me to be your guy who jumps around? I'm your jump around guy." And that continues, and I think that when we get to our later interpretations in Gwenpool, that characterization kind of starts here. So that's a cool thing, because we're going to see that throughout this issue, where there is this effort to humanize
Batroc.
Batroc in the same way that we're very much humanizing Diamondback and the rest of the Serpents, as just people who are working for a living. Now, is this so was this the one with the Serpent Saucer, or was that one of the other books we read recently?
That was the one with Scourge, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So that was a different one.
No, remember, this is when we meet Cap. Cap gets his new pilot, John Jameson.
Yes, John Jameson. I am very happy to see John Jameson. I am very happy to have him a part of this story. It is going to come back. They're going to reference Man Wolf later.
Oh yeah.
Which is good. Which is good. I like that they gave John Jameson really random occasional powers. Like, that will come out later. Like, it's one of these things that it's like, oh, well, I guess, why don't I just remember that I can turn into Man-Wolf and, do that thing. But that doesn't happen in this story. But they do reference that time that he turned into a Man-Wolf. Not a wolf man, a Man-Wolf, because he's a little less feral. Anyway, yeah, since I don't have the physical issues and I don't have my phone with me, I'm trying to remember like what is the cover of each issue, because we do all of the tropes in this. We do the undersea adventure. We do that's right, that's the Temple of Doom adventure next.
Yep.
Yes, the Temple of Doom, where we meet and it's in Colombia, as I recall, and the chief of the secluded tribe has the piece of the Bloodstone in his mask, and they use Kirari.
Yeah, they all get captured. Yeah,
They all get
Cap,
captured.
Diamondback, all the villains. Yeah, and Cap has to free everybody. Yeah,
and I love the fact that Super Soldier Serum stronger than Kirari, so you got to appreciate that.
Yeah, she's like getting my heart pumping. He's like, come on, come on.
Come on, you can do this, which is also in its own way kind of silly when you think about it. Just because, like, why should he be? I guess Super Soldier Serum just trumps everything, or just that force of superheroic will. But it works. It happens. He does it.
Well, I mean, is it more believable than any of the rest of them getting over it, quickly?
Yeah. Well, I guess the idea is that it does wear off, and the other people had been Kirari'd for a while. Like, we see that Diamondback is still completely out of it by the end of it, So, although I do, you talk about, you can talk about, like, things that don't always age well. And Temple of Doom right up there. Great story, great fun, great adventure, but although I will give that they're like, yeah, we're gonna kill these white guys because, well, everything white people have done to our people for the last 1,000 years, so it makes some sense.
Well, again, I mean, look, they attack Cap and Diamondback because who were the first people there? Zemo and his crew. So
yeah, well, yeah, and to be fair, but again, I think that they got the drop on Zemo and his crew too, which again, kind of puts the lie to the whole Zemo built better kind of concept, It's just, maybe he's not as good of a leader as he thinks he is. Maybe he likes to think he's a good leader, but really he's kind of maybe a less good leader. That's my theory. I don't know. But yeah, they do get out of that. They do get we start our Bloodstone. our Bloodstone quest, because that's what we're doing. We're trying to get our Bloodstone quest, and that's what we're working towards.
Yeah, then the next one was that underwater one, where the
Oh,
fragment isn't
yes.
like a downed airliner under in the ocean. Yeah.
Yes, and that's kind of cool in its own right too. I liked the fact that, and again, this is where we see Batroc saving the day, as it were. He stabs the shark bleeds, it causes the feeding frenzy, allows the villains to escape, but also aids Captain America in its own right. And I think it's kind of a telling point that this eventually leads to, the villains not sure they can trust Batroc because, hey, why did you help Captain America? And he's like, I didn't help Captain America. I helped us. We needed to get away, and it served our best interests to work with Captain America. It served our best interests to open up the lane. But we get to the kung fu fighting episode, which is also fun. And I don't get me wrong, I love a good kung fu fighting episode. But again, one of those kind of things that where you do wonder if this is aging well.
Wow.
We definitely lean into some very late 80s tropey elements here, I would say.
Yeah. But at least that wasn't like a huge part.
Yeah. No, it's not. But this is where, Batroc, and again, Batroc, the nice guy, is the guy who's chosen to give the instructions of where Cap should meet Zemo, and to give him his stones, which, again, it's one of these weird things like, why should I? Why do even when he gets there, it's like, what are you going to do with the stones? He said, just give them to me. I want the stones. And also throughout this is where we first get introduced, and this is actually in a couple issues before we first get introduced to Crossbones.
Yep, he's just sitting there watching.
Yeah, we don't get his origin, although we do see that the psychic that Zemo has brought with them. I forget his name.
Was it Tristram Aubrey or something? Yeah.
It was a fun name, and yeah, he's he says, but there are two others who are seeking the stones as well.
Oh, it's funny because he comes back in a later story, because remember during Acts of Vengeance when Magneto kidnaps the Red Skull, Crossbones tracks this guy down. It's like, you're gonna help me find this skull or I'm gonna pound you.
Yeah. Well, it's very interesting what like mid-level psychics do in a superheroic world. Because like in our world, it's like, oh, I have a vision and I sense a thing, and it's like, okay, but like, when you actually have like Charles Xavier, when you have a world with Charles Xavier, having like Bush League superhumanity is always a little weird. But it's kind of cool the way it works out, and we get to the mountain. We get to the mountaintop, where the ritual is to take place. We find out that in the coffin is Daddy Zemo, mein Vater, and it's like, I don't know, man. I feel bad for Zemo, because even as everything is happening, it doesn't seem like he ever picks it up. It's like, the whole time he's like, Dad, why do you sound funny? It's like, and like, meanwhile, it's the soul of Ulysses Bloodstone reborn in the body of Zemo, of the dead body of Zemo, the original Zemo, and he's like, yeah, I will destroy you all, and that kind of stuff. And
I thought it was just like like some kind of entity other than the original Zemo. So I thought, yeah.
Well, I mean, I thought it was supposed to be Ulysses Bloodstone, but it was someone.
Yeah.
It was someone other than the guy who's been dead for years. And see, to me, this is, and it's funny, I guess, because as a kid reading this, I did not pick up that it was another entity. That it was, because I kind of took it as like his father berating him, or I have memories of this being a story about he brings the dead person back, and they're like, "Why did you do this?"
You just assumed it was the Nazi who was the
Yeah,
a-hole? Okay.
yeah. I guess so. I mean, that's what's weird to me. What's interesting is that also I'm remembering that there's actually a Bible story where they bring someone back and he basically does that. So, where's like, why did you bring me back? You shouldn't have done this. This is a bad idea. And but that it is the entity. But and again, when Crossbones, sorry, shatters this stone again, he's still jumping in after him, saying "Vata," and it's like, dude, really, really, you're just gonna
He has issues.
go after him? Yeah, man, a lot of daddy issues. Which for what it's worth, probably isn't that different from the MCU Zemo, who's like, my father and parents are dead. Yeah,
Yeah.
that looks delicious. Okay. I don't know why they see me on a podcast. I'm talking to you. And it's like, I made myself. And hey, I love that my kid made a pancake and egg for himself this morning. And now no longer needs me to make breakfast for him. But sometimes it's also a little bit like, okay, great. Let me get back to my podcast. They're great kids. I love them. Don't get me wrong. As it plays out, it's an interesting story of weird villains, and it really is just weird villains. I mean, that is one thing I can say about this, is that these are some of the like, and it's funny to me because it does really do a disservice for Zemo in who Zemo later becomes in the Marvel comics when he founds the Thunderbolts and all this kind of stuff. Because he really comes off as just a guy with a lot of issues. But that's my take. I don't know. What's your take, Philip?
I mean, except for like saving the villains, I'm like, do we really need Cap in this story? I mean, if Diamondback hadn't gotten Captain America on their trail, would Zemo have just ended up in the Amazon and gotten killed? Him and Batroc just got killed in the Amazon jungle?
Probably. I mean, that's sort of the thing about these kinds of stuff, is like it's the Indiana Jones paradox. If Indy actually did nothing, and the Nazis either never find the arguably they would have found the Ark, because if Indy wasn't there, he wouldn't have been able to save both the amulet and Marion from the Nazis. So basically, if you don't have Indy in the story, the Nazis kill Marion and take the amulet, and then they find the Ark. Now then, yes, you have the basic plotline where they still kill themselves with the Ark, but you've also revealed to the Nazis the Ark of the Covenant and its location, and they knew where the Nazis were. The Nazis could have still gone and gotten the Ark. And then maybe they just know, don't open the freaking Ark,
Yeah.
Like, oh, that ended very poorly. Do not do that thing that they did. So if nothing else, it takes it out of their hands, At least that is the theory. Anyway, yeah, so that is why you do need Indiana Jones in the movie, because if he does not enter into the movie, Marion dies and the Nazis get the full amulet. So they would have found it much faster, all that kind of stuff. Oh, where was I? Okay, moving right along. Yeah, I mean, it's a good story. I suppose it's fun.
It's a fun, it's a
adventurous.
fun story. Yeah,
It's definitely an adventurous story. I like it on a lot of levels, and like I said, I do think that this for all of its weirdness, also starts building out this idea of the villains being human. That the rogues gallery actually, there are a lot more of them who are just hired goons, not specifically Hydra agents. That really, they can be hired by anybody and they can do their stuff for anybody. And that is an interesting concept. And that's what these characters eventually evolve into. And we first start seeing this with the Cap Diamondback dynamic, back in the previous issues where we first introduced that, yes, they do in fact have a dynamic, that these are friends, if you will.
Yeah.
Oh, and yeah, that's all very cool to me. Alrighty. Do you want to talk the Scourge story, or just want to leave it where we left it? Because
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine.
I mean, basically, if you ever wondered how the Power Broker got so jacked he couldn't move, basically he did it to himself. It seems like he was an idiot and did something he shouldn't have oughta, and it ended poorly. So, okay, and thank you, Scourge, or at least one of the Scourges who also gets shot, as you do.
It's a theme.
It's a theme. It's the theme show. Okay, you want to talk some comics, Phil?
Yeah, let's talk some comics.
Okay, I don't know if we're going to get to any. No, of course, we are an Avengers podcast. So let's open up with Ms. Marvel and Venom.
Yes.
So this is, I think, the last part of this arc. I think.
I guess they only did like 3 parts.
I mean, I don't know who Peacock Dude is, but I do have a question about Venom in this.
Yes.
Who is Venom in this?
That's Eddie Brock's teenage son.
That is Eddie Brock's teenage son.
Yes.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Because he seems very much like We Are Venom kind of stuff here. Oh, let me see. Can I tell that that's a teenage kid? It's hard to see.
I was going to say, did he ever take the suit off? Or
yeah, there's one scene like right here.
Yeah.
Where the sonic blast sort of pulls it back. All you really see is his back and his hair, so it could be a teenager. Yeah.
The symbiote does usually the toxin, the new toxin guy. He was also a teenager, but the suit made him look really buff and stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's
so it could be that is a teenager, but so I think.
Yeah.
But I think you are right, because that doesn't look like Venom symbol.
No, well, this is the new Venom. The new Venom, because Eddie Brock's off being the King in Black or something like that. And so his son, Eddie Brock Jr., I guess, is the new Venom.
And Flash Thompson, is he still anti-Venom?
He is still anti-Venom. We'll get to him. He's over in Savage Avengers right now. Yeah, but basically, the Venom can track the part of them that has been stolen by the evil people trying to make immortality a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because apparently they want because this is the big reveal, is that like if they had just infiltrated the X-Men, they could have figured out how they got their immortality. And the answer is they're all just clones, man. They're all just clones all the way down. And honestly, it is weird when, and again, like I said, because this is this idea, like if you assume, because here's the thing, this universe has an afterlife, and yet your corporal soul can transfer, but at the same time, I don't know, man, I worry about this. It seems like, again, this kind of thing where all of these superheroes are in their respective afterlives, and they were just all going to show up. They're like, "Oh no, man, I died like 10 years ago. What are you talking about? This is just a clone of me." But what is this guy's name? I forget his name, but yeah, he's got like the little peacock feather armbands and all that kind of stuff. And he's hired a doctor, a mad scientist, to do the work. We have that the person that was actually gaining it was this person dying of cancer, but he's also a super genius. And he injects himself with the formula, and of course, as you might imagine, it ends poorly for him. Do not randomly inject stuff into yourself until it's been tested on mice, people. Okay?
But what if the mice becomes a giant monster and kills everyone?
Well, that is probably what might have happened. And you go, oh, I don't think this is safe for humans yet. Do not go directly to human testing. And, of course, the guy liquefies. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what you should do. But, and of course, Venom gets his little bit of venom back. But there's still... I believe that is true. That does seem to be a rule. Yeah, I don't know if you can hear Tristan talking in the background.
A little bit, yeah.
A little, okay. Yeah, you're at a bad angle for the mic, Tristan, so don't worry about it. Just stay out of the business. Okay. And then we get the whole band back together. So we got Moon Knight, Wolverine, and Venom. Because I guess because they're popular characters. And then they make a bunch of basically bulky monsters. And
well, I think didn't they both say in their parts like, "Oh yeah, let me know if you track down whoever's behind this." Yeah.
Well, did we? Do they? Oh no. Well, they meet them. So yeah, they see the guy in the green, and his green, half white henchman. They're all very mysterious. But the mad scientist basically says, "Oh yeah, there's something that I don't know. It might cure them. It was supposed to cure them, but they also weren't supposed to turn into cancer monsters. So what do I know?" And for what it's worth, of all them going after all these people, why did they not go to Deadpool? Like, of all the people that have the best healing factors, wouldn't Deadpool be the best one to go to? Now, yes, granted, his cells are very necrotic, but so you do. But they do apparently cure the subjects. They arrest the mad scientist, and then they tell Eddie he tells Ms. Marvel tells Venom that Eddie would be proud of him.
Mm-hmm.
And we get the end thing about how it's important to give people nice words. And that was a sweet story. I enjoyed it. I find Ms. Marvel a delight.
Mm-hmm.
Not yet. Okay. Philip, give me another story.
Iron Man 23.
Iron Man. What happened with Iron Man this week?
Oh, you didn't read Iron Man?
No, I did not.
It's interesting because they're trying to infiltrate this whole weapons ring, and remember they sent in that Carl who gets shot with these was shot with some kind of time ray, and they're like, "Oh no, we lost him. He could be anywhere in time." So Tony and Rhodey are trying to put an end to this whole thing, but then so Tony has to meet with Spy Master, and he's like, I don't want to buy all this exotic weaponry before it falls in the wrong hands. What do you care? Money's money. But Carl's back as force. He's like, yes, they sent me back in time a week and showed me how you just used and manipulated me, Tony. So
oh no.
And they're like, yep, now you're done because you wanted those Mandarin rings. Well, guess what? The Cobalt Man already bought them.
Dang it. Cobalt Man. Ah. Curse you, Cobalt Man. Well, do you want to talk Savage Avengers?
Sure, yeah.
So this is not the end of the arc. Well, this is the end of this arc, and sadly,
I was gonna say it's gonna keep going, but it's the end of the road for
Conan.
Yeah.
Although not really, because he continues on his Conanic adventures.
Oh yeah, it shows, yeah.
And so it's entirely possible he comes back again. It's like, oh yeah,
I think it's more of let's put him back on the shelf for a while because I don't know about the whole rights thing, but it's like
yeah. Oh, they're doing what they can. The Conan estate says, well, why don't we make our own Conan books? And maybe they'll make good Conan books, or maybe they'll make lousy Conan books. one of the two things will happen, and then they'll make a decision again. Because invariably, that's what happens. They're bringing Set into this universe. I am not sure how I feel about this version of Set. Because they very Hydra-ize him. And it kind of makes me feel like, oh, man, are they going to, like, tie Set to Hydra? Is that, like, a new plan that they're working on? But you basically have Miles Morales' Deathlock come back. Does a gamma charge on Weapon H, so that's good. You get into the big fight. We find out that, the light power works great with anti-venom. And so Flash Thompson gets all super powered by Dagger. And you see that that's problematic for people. The Black Knight grabs the blood sword and sort of lets himself go to the dark side. Meanwhile, Dagger just says, well, I guess I'll use this healing light to not have you be dead, Conan. Because sure, why not? Works for me. And it actually does work, and they get into the big fight, and they realize the only way that they can get rid of Set is if someone stays behind and closes the door when they all jump. So Conan doesn't get to jump, but he does get to live forever in the Hyborian Age to eventually become a king. So that's cool. And that's pretty much how it ends after they kill Thulsa Doom, Dr. Doom's grandpappy, we're going to say, just for fun. And yeah.
Well, and the rest of them jumped to $20.99 for our cliffhanger.
Oh yeah, $20.99. Good old Frank. Is it Frank Gallows or?
Oh, I think is it Jake Gallows? Yeah,
Jake Gallows, the Punisher of $20.99. Dun dun dun. So that's exciting.
So what are they gonna do? A Blade Runner crossover?
Yeah, maybe something. It'll be something cool, I'm sure. Alrighty then. Any other books you want to do this week, Phil?
Just real quick. The only other one is Captain Marvel. They basically close out that arc. Carol's back, but the Enchantress has sent a dragon to attack the city. But little does she know, it's like this young girl she's friends with. But she learned the lesson that the magic users were trying to teach her, or testing her, that instead of killing the dragon, Carol basically talks it down, and then finds out it's her friend. And of course, you get the whole Enchantress. This isn't over yet. I'll get my revenge. So, but yes, Carol's back. Binary leaves to go back into space. So, yes, we close out that arc just in time to get a what do we call that crossover? Next issue is the big Avengers X-Men Eternals crossover issue. So, because everyone has to do one of those these days. But no, Captain Marvel's is a good book. I mean, Kelly Thompson's been doing good. I mean, come on, any book that's on Spider-Man or something that gets 41 issues and keeps going, I mean, the numbers must be there. So, I think Charlie Esser's judging a pancake right now. But yeah, I mean, there's good Avengers books this week. Like I said, Captain Marvel's good. Savage Avengers was good. Iron Man was good. Again, Iron Man, Christopher Cantwell, I guess, is only getting 2 more issues, and then is it Jerry Dugan taking over, I believe? So, yeah.
Very cool. Okay, well, the only last book I got that's even tangentially Avengers is Spider-Punk, which I think is the last one of this week, of this arc, where we get the punk version of the Avengers, which is Captain Anarchy, Mattia Murdoch, who is the Daredevil, a guy named, I think they called him Robert, who is the Hulk of this universe. Hulk Thrash is his thing. And again, like I said, I do enjoy a lot of these Spider-Punk stories just because it is so very Saturday morning cartoony, as well as being dark and depressing in its own right. So, it's like, we're punk rock, man, and you're the establishment, and you just don't even know Osborn. And meanwhile, Osborn is evil. They do Flash Thompson dirty in this with his Venom being a racist and all that kind of stuff. But beyond that, it's really good. They do defeat Osborn again. And this time, hopefully it sticks. And, the people rise up, and then we all walk off into the sunset. So that was fun. Spider-Punk, number 5. All righty. All right, Philip. Shall we call that a show?
Yes, sir. All right.
Okay.
Want me to do some
people would like to reach out to us? Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Oh, do you want me to do
Let's
it?
do some plugs.
All right.
Yeah, well, you can do it. I mean, yeah.
Okay. Yes. All right. Before we even get to that, next week, more Captain America 445 through 448. It's kind of like the beginning of Mark Waid's run. Get some returning characters, including one people thought was dead for like 20 years. So send us your thoughts. Email us, CapesandLunatics@gmail.com, or call the voicemail, 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And remember, you can find Avengers Declassified on Facebook, on Twitter. Find links to all the various social medias and Facebook fan groups and all that fun stuff. Links to the YouTube channel. Again, this episode, everything we do, interviews, everything eventually gets a video up there. So smash that subscribe button so you don't miss a second of anything.
Smash it.
Including when Lilith returns. And subscribe to the Patreon, because once again, this is a labor of love. We're paying for this out of our own pocket, but $3 to $5 gets you early access to creator interviews, including the monthly Chichester chats.
I got the good mic out for you guys.
And superhero movie brackets. We will find the worst superhero movie of all time. And if that is not enough, get yourself some Capes and Lunatics and Capes and Lunatics Sidekicks merch. Find that all at Linktree, linktr.ee/Capes and Lunatics. Charlie Esser.
And, of course, you can always write to me in that old-fashioned email way, the way our mothers and fathers once did, at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, at gmail.com. And, of course, follow me on the Twitter as I live tweet things like College Bowl. It's back, kids, with Peyton Manning as host, and he is the worst. The worst host. Oh, my God. Why would you put a football player in charge of College Bowl? Man's a... Bring back Chip Beals. That's what I say. Moving right along, at Charlie Esser, that's CharlieEsscr. Look for the 2 E's in the middle.
For quality. Bing.
Thank you, Maz. All right, friends, you have come through another episode of Avengers Declassified. Tune in again next week as we once again tell the tales that must be told. This podcast will self-destruct in 10 seconds.
Oh, yeah. Boom.
Kaboom. Well, I don't really know how long it takes for podcasts to self-destruct. But,
yeah, next week, Captain America's Red Skull, Cosmic Cube, and a surprise return. Till then.
yes.
Watch us
the surprise
vacations.
return. I'm excited